Hello, friends. My name's Abby Clark of the Morning Set and Influenced here at KUVO. We're live from the Bonfee Staten Performance Studio here at 21st and Arapahoe in Denver. I'm so excited to welcome Monique Brooks Roberts, bringing her special mix of soul, jazz, and R&B to KUVO. Thank you so much for bringing your music to the community.
Hello, everybody. I am Monique Brooks Roberts. I am so honored to be here in the KUVO Jazz Studio with my incredible band. Give it up. It's really hard for me to contain myself when I'm playing music because it's my favorite thing to do in my life. But that was my arrangement of Sade's Cherish the Day. She is one of my greatest inspirations in my career, and I've always wanted to cover one of her tunes. And so that was on my album that came out in 2020, and that was my version of Cherish Today. We're going to do another tune for you. I love to take songs and make them my own. And so this next song is a Roy Ayers tune, Everybody Loves the Sunshine. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. That was Everybody Loves the Sunshine, one of my favorite tunes ever. The next song that we're going to do for you is a Herbie Hancock tune off of his Thrust album called Butterfly. And it's been done so many ways, and I hope you really enjoy our rendition. Thank you. Thank you so much. That was our version of Butterfly. We have a couple more tunes for you. The next tune is an original tune called Possibilities. And just a quick little fun fact, it's the very first song that I wrote ever. Back in 2008, right after this piano sitting over here is my husband. And we wrote this song right after we got married. And it has taken multiple versions and iterations over the years to get to this new version, but it still means the same thing to me. When we got married in 2008, this whole world of possibilities were open to us. We didn't know where our careers were going to go. We didn't know how life was going to take us on a beautiful journey. And here we are. We just celebrated 16 years of marriage last week. I know y'all are cheering, so thank you. But I love that we still get to play this song, and we've got to play it with so many different bands. And this is my favorite version with this band, who I will introduce before our last song. So this is Possibilities. Thank you so much. That was our tune, Possibilities. And I'll talk more about why I write the way I write and why I play the way I play. But this last tune, before I get to this last tune, I have to introduce my incredible band to you. To my right is Mr. Braxton Kahn on drums. Behind me, holding down the bass, is Mr. Callum Bair. To my left, like I said, my boo thing, Mr. Aaron Brooks Roberts on keys and piano. And I am Monique Brooks Roberts on violin. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm so honored that you're taking the time to listen to my music today. And this last song, I always have to put a Regina Carter tune in any set that I do because she is the GOAT to me. She is one of the biggest reasons why I'm even here. She used to mentor me in college, and I just know that I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for Black women violinists that have paved the way for me to be here today. So I'm going to do Regina Carter's version of Higher Ground, and I hope you enjoy. And thank you so much for listening today.
Monique Brooks Roberts is a Denver-based violinist making her mark in the soul jazz circuit. She has 30 years experience performing in venues and music halls around the world, from playing in various orchestras and quartets to sharing the stage with notable artists like Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, and Miss Lauryn Hill. Her work crosses musical boundaries. It's taken her to the Grammys with Lizzo and to a Las Vegas residency with Lady Gaga. She currently performs and tours with the Rootstock Republic, Camille Brown and Dancers, and as a solo artist. Her philosophy in music is that it heals, feeds, and nourishes the soul. Thank you so much, Monique, for joining me.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, what an amazing performance.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I was grooving the whole time, and we're so excited to have you here in Denver. You're from Louisville. Hold on. Louisville?
That's close.
Louisville, Kentucky?
Yes.
You lived in Philadelphia, New Jersey area for a while, and now you're in Denver.
Yes.
Let's talk about your musical upbringing. How did you get into the violin, like educationally or what have you?
That's such a great question. So I think something got stuck in my psyche when I was like 2. I had an older sister that played.
Okay.
And then I remember seeing the Uptown String Quartet on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood with the incredible Diane Monroe. And so I just was begging my mom to play violin around like 7. And then she was like, oh, you have to practice. I don't think you're ready yet. And I just begged and begged and begged. So the summer before I went to 4th grade, she finally got me a violin and I was hooked. Oh. And that was it. Like I would stare at it in the case before I even knew how to play. And once I started, I just like took off. I literally fell in love with it at first sight. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful instrument,
It
too.
It is. It's hard.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful, and it's just been the thing that like has been the light of my life.
I'm sure. Life. Yeah, I'm sure very rewarding too.
Very.
And you were playing in orchestras and stuff growing up, I'm sure, as a string musician.
Like straight classical growing up. Like only classical, working with my private teacher on concertos and playing in an orchestra. And once I got to college, I knew that I could play by ear. I would play Sade records because that's my girl. She's my number one kind of favorite artist on the planet. And I would play her records and I would try to like pick it out. I'm like, oh, I could do it. Then Jill Scott came out with Who is Jill Scott in 2000. And I heard her string parts and by Larry Gold. And I was trying to pick that out. And then I asked my professor, I'm like, I really want to study jazz. And he's like, well, I can't help you because I don't play jazz, but go to the jazz department and see if they can help you. And I did.
Hey.
And they were like, sure. We've never done it. We've never taught violin, but they let me work on jazz and my classical in college. And that's where I really got to learn about improvisation and what it meant to be in a band and what it meant to kind of have this creative voice outside of playing notes on a page.
Absolutely. I feel like you have the violin and it's almost like an extension of your voice, the way that you phrase.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to talk a little bit about you curate string orchestras, right? String sections?
Yeah, so I work with Wondersmith Entertainment. It used to be called Rootstock Republic, and I'm really honored the work that I do. The CEO and founder, Juliette Jones, is another fellow violinist and composer, and we really center Black and brown folks in strings. We are not a monolith, but we are not always represented on stages across the world, and so we really try to be intentional with the work of centering Black folks like myself and brown folks in strings in any capacity, whether it's the Grammys, whether it's, the Oscars. It's like, that's important to us to have that visibility. And so we do a lot of that work. Yeah, so
that's
I'm really
so
honored to be a part of Wondersmith, yeah.
Oh, man. So you talked a little bit about your influences, Sade. Great version of Cherish the Day, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Really, you can see that R&B and hip-hop influence in your playing. Can you talk about what it's been like to work with the violin, kind of breaking those molds and making it more of a cross-genre instrument?
Honestly, it's been so incredible. One thing that I I tell a lot of students, I've done a lot of master classes and universities, is it's so hard to break out of the box of what classical music is, especially as a string player, and then like define your own voice inside of it. And so I always want to encourage folks to like work really hard to find your own voice. I think we compare ourselves to a lot of people in the industry, and we're constantly like in this game of like, am I good enough? But I'm like, I knew that I had the gift of playing by ear. And so I just kind of challenged myself and said, how can I make my violin sound like Jill Scott's voice? How can I make the inflection in which I play sound like Sade's voice, sound like India Arie's voice, sound like, all my favorite D'Angelo's voice? And I worked at that. I worked really hard to play a record the way that they did it. And I kind of taught myself how to do those slides the same way that they did it. And then at some point in like my late 20s, I was like, wow, I have my voice. Like I found my niche and like what I'm good at. And that's a really beautiful, powerful thing when you tap into your power and tap into your purpose as a musician, because we're surrounded by so much inspiration that sometimes that inspiration can turn into jealousy and envy and comparison, when we should really just focus on honing our own voice, because there's only one me and there's only one you and there's only one you and you. And just focusing on how to be your best self.
Letting yourself blossom. Like,
yes.
I love that. And I feel like your beliefs on music are amazing and they speak to me. Music is feeding and nourishing our souls. So it only makes sense that investing in yourself is what you need to do.
Yes.
Let's talk about your album Free, released in 2020. It seems like it's super like self-exploratory and a healing moment for you. Can you talk about it?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, Abby. I'm going to just start by saying that I was disappointed that I dropped my album January 31st, 2020, just for a global pandemic to come through. After I had worked on that album for 2 years, I was like, you know what? It's fine. But yes, that album was a journey of self-discovery for sure. I was in a jazz fusion band in Jersey, Philly for 8 years. And the band became no longer in 2017. And I was like, what am I going to do? And so many people had said to me, you need to become a solo artist. You just need to be Monique Brooks Roberts. And I was like, but no, I want to bring everybody with me. And they're like, you can still do that, but like center yourself. And so, sometimes, and this is not to talk bad about any in the way that I was raised, but sometimes you're raised under this kind of iron fist and in a closed-minded environment. And this album was a healing journey for me to be all of the facets of the woman that I am. And so that is sexy. That is in love with myself. I have a song on there called Love, Me.
I love that one.
Thank you. Shout out to Carrie Joy. Shout out to Raj Dulari for featuring on that track. In the beginning, Carrie Joy opens up with a beautiful poem about yourself and how it's okay to really love yourself and tap into that. And I'm like, how can I make music sound like that? And then I have a song where, we're partying, it's like we at the club and we're having a good time. And then what we do after the club, And then there's a moment where the entire album ends with just a complete freestyle. That last song on the album titled Free, my husband and I, we just went on a musical journey together. We didn't plan what we were going to play. And that was the first take. We did not do any overdubbing. It was the first take. And I was like, I have to end this album with me being my absolute freest self, which is playing music. And so the album is still available to stream and buy.
Yes.
But I was so proud of it. And I continue to be really proud of it. And I've had so many people reach out to me because I used to live in a lot of fear. And sometimes that fear doesn't always go away, but you learn how to deal with that. But music healed a lot of my fears. And I had so many women, emailing me, oh my God, your story resonated with me. And when you were talking in the one track about your upbringing and all these things, and I'm like, that's what brings the joy for me, is that it can help anybody and create an impact to change anything about you. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Let me just drop your website, MoniqueBrookRoberts.com.
Yes.
Facebook is Monique Brooks Roberts, and at Monique BROB for your Instagram.
Yes.
And girl, you're busy. You are giving back to the community. You have a podcast with a few other creatives, SIP Podcast.
Yes.
It's a journey. It's the Black Girl's Guide to Healing.
Yes.
You also just returned from Passing the Crown,
Yes.
which I want to hear all about. It was curated by an all-woman team.
Yes.
Can you talk about these other ways that you're interacting with the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the SIP podcast was started by me, and I said, you know what? I want to bring my best friends along the journey. And you know what? All women have a group chat. If you're watching, you know you got a group chat, and you might have a little name in your group chat, and you're like, girl, let me tell you what happened today. And it was basically the group chat out loud. Like, let's just talk and be real and be honest and talk about being Black and, you know, in America, being Black as a creative, being a woman, all of the things that make us who we are. And so, yeah, the podcast went on a little bit of a hiatus because of my work with Passing the Crown, which I'll kind of segue into that. But yes, you can definitely stream all of our episodes on your favorite podcast platform of your choice. And then for the last year, going back to Wondersmith Entertainment, Passing the Crown was conceived by my dear friend and colleague, Juliette Jones. And she's like, yo, I got this show idea celebrating the queens of hip hop. And I was like, say less. Last year was the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and we felt like the woman's voice wasn't as prominent in that discussion last year and in the celebrations that were happening. And so she had a very clear vision of how she wanted to conceive this show. And we just premiered it at Lincoln Center at Damrosch Park this past Sunday, July 7th. It was absolutely incredible. 32-piece women. All women led, all women on stage, 12-piece strings, DJ, everything. And so it just meant so much to create a work for us by us.
It looked like a blast. I saw some stuff on your Instagram, a soul train with the string instruments.
Yes. Shout out to choreographer, creative director extraordinaire, Randy Freitas. She created that whole moment for us. And just the three of us like really just honed in on this. Shout out to DJ Reborn for being on the ones and twos, Tony Blackman for hosting. And, you know, we just did it. And this is the thing, Abby. There's so many things inside of music, inside of any career that you're like, I don't know how to do this. I have never associate produced a show, but I did. And so I'm always like, I'm not trying to preach to folks when I'm interviewing and talking, but you can do literally anything you want to do. It takes a little elbow grease and it takes tears and blood and sweat, but you can do it. And so I feel very, very proud of that work. Very, very proud. And hopefully we'll be coming to a city near you very soon.
Hey, you should. Monique Brooks Roberts, you're incredible.
Thank you.
The website again, MoniqueBrookRoberts.com, and that has linked to all your socials to keep up with your busy self.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to KUVO, sharing the music.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to the whole KUVO team for having me. And don't be shy. Reach out to me on Instagram. Anybody watching, DM me. I don't bite. I'm always friendly, and I'll follow you back.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.